Hi everyone. Don't you wish Microsoft had something like Google Sites where you could create custom pages and display all your class materials and resources? Well, guess what? It does. It's called SharePoint. It's actually the backbone of Microsoft Teams. And so your Microsoft Teams class actually is built on top of this thing called SharePoint. And so I'm going to show you how to use your SharePoint web page, essentially, and how you can customize it for your particular class. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to know, well, how can I access this SharePoint website? And so what you need to do to get to it is if you are in your team, so I'm in this team right here, you can go over to these three dots in your general channel, and you'll notice that there's this link that says Open in SharePoint. So if you look over in the top right here, Open in SharePoint. And so when you click on this, it's going to open the SharePoint site for this particular team. And so now, as you can see, here is the SharePoint website for that team. Notice it's named the same as my team. It has the same display picture. This is my team. In the files section of my team, this document was uploaded. So all your files will show up here in the document section. And you have all of these other tabs that link to different things of your team. For instance, if I click Notebook, it's going to open my class notebook for that team. Essentially, what Microsoft Teams is it's a shell to make this content look the way it does and allow you to interact with it. If we go to Home, though, this is actually the home page for our SharePoint site. And we can customize this and we can use it and display it inside of Microsoft Teams. So you'll notice that the URL for your homepage is pretty easy. So if you wanted to actually use this and give the URL to students, it'd be your domain.sharepoint.com/site/ the name of your team, essentially. So, maybe it's 9th grade computer science or whatever it may be. So, here's some of my files that I've used from within this team, and it's just showing some default content. But we can completely edit this, and we can also display this inside of a tab inside of your team. So I'd like to show that first. Let's get this page to display as a tab in our team, and then I'm going to show you some ways that we can customize this. So in your team, you're going to click on Add a New Tab, and there's an option here for SharePoint. So you're going to find the one that just says SharePoint. And when you click on that, it allows you to select pages that are part of your SharePoint. You can create additional pages. For now, all your default ones that I have is the home page and the news page. You can create additional pages if you want, but what I'm going to show you and what I suggest to start off is just customize your home page to start off, and then display that and have that be your class homepage. And if you'd like to create additional pages after, you can display those as tabs also. And so now here's my homepage, as you just saw it on SharePoint. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, and I can open it in a web page again, and then we can edit it. I do want to point out while we're here, you can rename this tab. So if you don't want it to just say home, you can name it whatever you want, so it displays it that way. Maybe you want to call it class page. So then when maybe that's something you'd like to call it for your students when you say, all right, go to the class page, and so you could do that. All right, so another way that you can open it up to edit it is click on Go to Web Page, and so now it just opened for me, the home page specifically, or that specific page. And so I can edit this now. If I click Edit, I could add more different things. I could delete these. So I'm going to show that off in a minute about adding sections, deleting things. Most of it's extremely user-friendly, so you can bring your design to life here of what you'd exactly want displayed. Similar to if you came here because you'd like to use a feature like Google Sites, this will be very similar in regard to how we can display content, add files. We can customize this for our students any way we want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to show you how you can set up the theme for this. So it doesn't have to be just a white page. You can theme this. So click on this little gear, and there are some additional settings here. Adding additional pages, the permissions, which I'm going to go over in a minute. But first, what I want to go to is let's just go to the site information. And notice that you can change the site here. You don't really want to mess with that, but if you want to, change the description for this, or if you want other people that aren't in the team to be able to access it for whatever reason, you can do that here. I'm going to click on View All Site Settings. That's where we want to go to right now. And so inside of here, you have lots of additional settings. And so this can become important. And depending on some things you'll need, you may need to access some of these pages. So just know that there is this, full site settings page because it's kind of buried away, so it can be hard to navigate to. What you want to go to is in this section, look and feel, and we want to change the look. And so once you go into full site settings, you click change the look, you'll notice there are a number of different themes that you can use. And so even these accent colors, so the theme is kind of the appearance. So look at how, these are going to look. But then notice that you can actually have different accent colors on this particular look. So for instance, I can choose this theme, but I don't need the accent color to be pink. I can change that. So let's go with this one. It's called City. And I'm going to change the color scheme, and I'm going to change it actually to be, and notice we got all these options here. I'm going to change it to, I like this one here. And you can change the layout. They have some different options, so you can kind of check that out. Change that one. And you can also change the default font used on your web page. So lots of different options. Check them out, find what you like, and then just click try it out. And so now it's going to change our website, our SharePoint site, to use this particular theme. It's going to give me a preview first. And then I say, yeah, keep it. So if you like it, so that's a good thing for you to know is you can try them out and test them out and see. So then here's my SharePoint site now. So I'm going to click Home. And you'll notice how it's displayed. And now I can go over and I can edit content. And now we can start to, add whatever we'd like. So like what I do at first is I do a one column section. So when you click, you can add new sections with this plus sign right here. Sections that are just defined areas that you can design. And I like to add like a header at the top of this home page. So you can do something like, add some text. So now inside of sections, you can click these little plus signs and you can change the text. I'm sorry, you can add a different field. So I'm going to add some text here. I'm going to say, welcome to EdTech Joe's class. And you can change the text, of course, instead of just being normal size, I can change this to a heading. I can center it on the page if I want. So it looks really good. Of course, another thing I like to do is I like to actually, add an image to the top of my page. So we can go and we can add an image. So we can upload a new image if you want. And I'm just going to upload. This is a header image I use on my web pages and my things for my class. So you can design something and put it there as a nice header image. Maybe you want to do a Bitmoji thing here. So now we've got that. I can also edit this section a little bit. So if I click on that, it allows me to quickly edit and define the type of section it is. I'm going to keep it as a one column, but instead of just having the default color background here, I'm going to set it to be this. Which when I selected my theme, remember this was the color palette available. So I'm going to set it to be this light blue, this teal. And I love the way that looks. So now you have that, and of course you can change, possibly, you want to change some things about the text here. For instance, maybe black text doesn't look the best, so I'm going to go and I'm going to change this to be, you can change a different color. I'm going to change it to white text, and maybe you'll like that. And maybe you want the size to be even larger. You can do that. So you got all kinds of options. Again, this bar shows up over here. If you select to, for text, it's going to be these 3 dots. And so you get these different panes that come up to kind of, add additional customizations to different fields that you can add here. So that's something I like to do. I like to add a kind of a header to the top. Then you can come down here, and let's say maybe you don't want these to start off. So you want to, you can delete those. So I deleted that entire section, and then we can start to create our own areas here. So I can create a new section, another 1 column. Maybe you want 2 columns, however you want it to be. So 2 columns would be you can add content on either side, 3 columns, 3 different ones. So different things, try it out. Let's check out some of the other options. So these are featured ones. These are ones you'll most likely use often: text, images, a link, embed codes, which I'll show in a minute. File viewer is one I really like. So let's say you have your Bitmoji classroom and you want to display it on your site instead of as an individual tab in your team. This is an option I think a lot of you are going to really like. You can just do this very easily. And so, for instance, I'm just going to select presentation 1. And so when you select that particular, PowerPoint that's saved into your class files, you can notice how it just displays it. So your Bitmoji classroom would be displayed. And if I edit this section, I change it to 1 column, and notice it will be nice and big. So now, instead of going through all that complicated process, if you watched my Bitmoji classroom displaying with PowerPoint, you can actually just use the file viewer to view the Bitmoji classroom and be able to interact with it. If I click republish right now, it will allow me to just view it as a page, and you'll notice that now it is an actual page that you can interact with instead of it being, I couldn't really interact with it because I was in edit mode. So file viewer lets you do that. You can view PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents. It's just for viewing purposes. The students aren't going to have editing capabilities. It's just for viewing a file. So that's the file viewer. Let's check out some other things we have here. We have embed codes. There are so many different things on the internet that you can embed, including like PhET. If you do any science labs, you can embed those right onto this web page. YouTube videos, of course, are one that you can embed. So let's get an EdTech Joe YouTube video URL. Let's get the Bitmoji classroom one that I was just talking about. So we go over and we got this Bitmoji classroom video. Any YouTube video you find, you can go to an embed URL. You just click share, click embed. And this iframe, an embed code, you can copy that, and you can display anything like that now in the SharePoint site. So there now I have a video, and students will be able to click on it, view the video. So that's one way that you can add. Maybe you're going to use this as a playlist. So you're going to create a SharePoint page as a playlist for students to go through, watch some videos, do some different things. This is a great resource for that. There are a number of other things you can embed. If you'd like to use Google Slides instead, Google Slides, you can grab an embed code and you can put that right here. One thing I want you to know is with these embed codes, some websites are blocked by default. So you do have to go over to, I'm just going to republish it for now. You do have to go over to your site settings. So I'm going to go over to site information again. I'm going to go to site settings. And there is one called HTML field security. In HTML field security, by default, they have a security layer that doesn't let you embed anything you want. Instead, so if I click this, it blocks certain sites, and it only allows these ones that are by default. For instance, a Google Slide embed code is actually blocked by default. What I suggest you do is if you're going to embed different things, or if it says that it's blocked, something you try to embed, you go to this HTML field security and just select allow contributors to insert iframes from any domain. If you select that, it will let you embed anything you want on the website, and click OK. All right, so we have that set up, and of course there are other things we can add. So let's click Edit again, and let's take a look at some of the other things. You can embed a Bing map, so you can embed a map. You can add buttons to link to certain things, other websites, etc. I'll show that off in 1 second. You have your document library, so you can create a document library. You can just display the file section that's on your team. Obviously, that's not as important because it's already going to be there in your team, but you can create additional document libraries. So if we come over and you republish, and once this republished thing goes away, you can click New, and you can add another document library. Let's say that you want to create a section of documents for a particular thing. Maybe it's a larger project your students are working on. You can do that. So I'm going to call this, Unit 1 project, or whatever you want it to be. Once you create that, it creates a document library for that. So this is separate from the files section, this automatically displayed in Teams, and is instead a document library for this particular thing. You can upload documents, etc. for this task, whatever it may be. Your creativity is at your disposal. So now if I go back to my home section, my home page, and I edit it, and I can go to the document, I can add a document library. And now instead of just having the default file section by default, I can also add, if I go over, let's just add it over here. I can go down to a document library now. And, you have your document library here. And if we go over and we edit this web part, that's the class files one. Let me just see if that should be off. Let me just disable this extension for now. Hold on. So then if you click and you edit, we can go over and you can select the document library you want. So let's say I want the Unit 1 project one I created, and you can view all documents, etc. So then you can show, a document library. It's very similar to the file section on Teams, but now it's a specific, library of things that you want. So actually, I just didn't save that, so let's change that back to Unit 1 Project, apply, and now it's showing that Unit 1 Project one, and I can add files for the students to be able to access. Another thing I like that I think a number of you will really like is this events. So you can create an event section. Maybe you want to post certain things when tests are, or if you're going to have any special guest speakers, field trips once we're able to have them again, anything like that. You can add events, and this is going to generate in a minute, and it gives you some default ones at first. And you have a couple different views. You can do this film strip style. You can make it compact to look like this, whatever it may be. But as soon as you publish it, you can go over, you say add event, and it lets you actually add the events. And so you can give it a name, field trip, and you can say the date and the time, or you can say it's an all-day thing, etc. Give it a description. And then it would display for your students. Let me go to all events. And so notice it's there. And if I go back to my home page, you'll notice it should show up there. See all events, field trip. There, it should show up in the carousel. I'm not sure why it's not, but it would show up there, and you could see that. Now, something I want to add though is, by default, permissions-wise, the students are able to add events. So if you use this feature, your students could add events, and we don't really want that, I'm sure. So one other thing is you can add your students' birthdays. That's actually something I'm doing, so that everyone can see and celebrate. So if we go over and we let me go back to the home page, and I get my site settings. Usually it shows up in that. I'm not sure why that showed differently. It does once in a while. We want to manage the permissions of the site. So I'm looking for site permissions now. Usually it shows right up on the home page. I'm just going to do that again so I can find it easier, because that's usually where I manage it. Right here, site permissions. And what you want to do is, you are an owner of the site. The teachers and the team is an owner. But site members are the students. And so what I suggest is you go down, instead of giving site members edit access, you want them to only have read access. It doesn't mean that they can, so notice we have full control. It doesn't mean that they can add and delete sections, but it does allow them to edit certain things like events and things that you would typically, if you're collaborating with a team of people, you'd want them to do. I only want my students to have read access. So you go over here and you click read access, and now students won't be able to add events and stuff, because now they're site visitors. They just visit the site to use it. They don't edit it in any way. So that's a suggestion I have, is to do that. Now, the other thing I like is, of course, we have our Bitmoji classroom that we can use to, have a friendly page for links. But you could also add a link section. And so let's edit this again. And one of the other things that we can do, they have a countdown timer is a really cool one too, if you're counting down to a particular event. Image gallery, maybe you take classroom pictures, you can post that there in a nice slideshow. Lists. But this quick links one is what I like to use. And so with this quick links section is you can add different links for students. So it's automatically called quick links, but maybe you want to say like class web links or whatever you want to call it. And then if you click this add links, you can actually add a link here. So we're just going to link to my YouTube channel. Open, and it generates that link there. And what I like about this is there are certain customizations you can make. So it automatically grabs the title, but of course you can customize this any way you want. So, maybe I don't want this dash here. I want to say on YouTube, whatever it may be. So, sometimes some websites show really funky names. Instead of auto-selecting an icon, which will use the website icon, most sites this works, some sites it doesn't. You can upload a custom image, which is actually what I do. I find a little picture that I want for this web link, and I upload that. But they also have a number of icons that you can choose from, the default icons that Microsoft has available. So you might like some of these. For instance, let's see if we can find, video or something. So maybe this one will work for that link. So you can do that. There's also a couple different ways that you can display these. So this is compact. You can do film strip. It's a bigger image. You can do a grid of them. So film strip would be like a gallery of them. Grid would show them all in a grid. Buttons, so they look like a button, and you can change the appearance of the buttons. So icon on top, icon on the left, a fill color instead of being an outlined button. I like that fill color. List, tiles. So there's a number of different things, and then students can just click on these and go to the link also. So now this is another way you could have a resource. If you're one of those people, you don't like the Bitmoji Classroom, or you're looking for a way to maybe just have a second place for these type of web links, you can do that there. So I really like that capability. So lots of different things. I suggest just kind of playing with this. You can create news, postings, kind of like blog posts for your team. You can post your stream videos. There is a dedicated YouTube thing, even though I showed the embed code. That was just because that was the easiest, quickest kind of embed code I could think of. Twitter, the weather, if you just want to display the weather on your site, all kinds of things that you can mess around with and really create this custom web page. Again, text and images, you can do tons of things with that. Just adding a link. When you add images, also something I do want to point out is, let's just do a web search. Something I want to point out is you can link. So if once this panel's opened up, you can do it, crop the image. There's lots of things you can do right inside of SharePoint to kind of edit the image, as well as make the image a clickable link. So if you don't like that quick links, and instead you want these really customized images, maybe your Bitmoji pointing at things or whatever else, you can make actual images on the site be a hyperlink. And so you can do that, and you can add text. So when they hover their mouse over it, it says something also. So it would tell them what it links to if you needed to. So the last thing that I want to show is that there are some templates to get you started. I'm going to put it in the description below, so check out the description below this video. And so just recently, Microsoft released these different template web pages for SharePoint pages specific to education, so specific for classrooms. So here's a school homepage, a staff homepage. So if you click on them, here's what it looks like, the template. And it gives you, that quick links. It gives you a nice header at the top. It gives you that events page. So it gives you some ideas of what you may want it to look like. So it even gives you some ideas on how to customize some of the things I went over, so you can kind of read about that. And so if you want to add this to your team, let me just go back. So here's the class homepage. This is the one I started off with. What I like is I even did this at the bottom where it shows a picture of me, and it says, feel free to, don't forget, you can always contact me by email, and I say hello to my class. It gives the banner at the top. It gives you a theme to kind of start off with. So you want to click Add to your tenant. And what you're going to need to add it to your tenant is the URL for this website you want to add the theme to. So you want to go back to your home page, and you want to grab, I'm going to just click Republish. You want to grab this URL right here that displays. Again, remember we showed this at first when you clicked Open in SharePoint. So you want to copy that URL, and that's where you're going to paste right here. And then you're going to say Add to your site. And it's going to go through, and it's going to completely modify your site. So I suggest if you want to start with a template, you do this first, because it's going to modify your site. All that stuff I just did, it's going to delete that, and it's going to give me this template. So make sure you do this first if you want to start with one of these templates pre-created by Microsoft. While I'm at it, before we end the video, there is another URL I'm going to put in the description below. There are tons of templates Microsoft creates for education specifically. So I'm going to give you that URL for education. These are Word, PowerPoint, Excel documents, all kinds of things. So if you go to this page for Office Templates Education, you can go through and you can start to scroll through, and you may like some of these things. Default presentations, different Word document templates, lots of really cool things. Look at hexagon graph paper, all kinds of interesting things, pages and pages of it. So you can sit there, click through it. Great for music teachers. They have some things, handwriting practice templates. Some of them are meant to be printed out, so just keep that in mind. But I'm going to put this in the description too, just so you know that there's lots of great templates. So let's go over to my class. It hasn't finished yet. I'm just going to pause and I'll come back when it finishes and gives me that new look. So here it is. Notice I'm in Teams now. I refreshed once I got an email notification saying my new provisioning for the template has been completed. Notice it did remove all the work I just did in the video, and it did this. So you want to do this first if you want to use one of these templates. But this is a great starting point. It might give you some really good ideas. Or just like I did in the beginning of this video, just start from scratch, delete everything, have a blank canvas, and add the things you want to add. You can always customize and add things after, so don't worry about that. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Leave me any comments down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can and answer any of and all of your questions. If you have some ideas for other topics I should cover, leave me a comment below so I can put that on my to-do list. And don't forget to click that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me in the future. Bye. Have a great day.